All right, I'm standing here in the hills of Malibu. Behind me is a 2017 Fiat 500 Abarth Cabrio. Unlike the last one I reviewed, this one has the 5-speed manual transmission, so we're gonna find out which one is better, the manual or the automatic. I love the way this one is colored. It's like a beautiful light blue with bronze wheels. It just looks fantastic. It's so overly Italian and flamboyant. Sorry if the video is shaky. I don't have my gimbal on me today. It's kind of a slap and dash, quick drive sort of thing. So we're gonna take it up in these great mountain roads here in Malibu and see if the 5-speed manual Abarth is as good or better than the automatic. You join me again inside another Fiat 500 Abarth. The difference between this one and the previous one that I reviewed is that this one has the 5-speed manual transmission. And so that brings up the question of which transmission is the best one for the 500 Abarth. Or if you're like me, you're a die-hard manual guy, is the manual transmission in this car any good? All the 500's little foibles and character flaws are coming right back to me. The engine is super laggy. There's no one home below like 3,000 RPM at all, to the point where it's almost dangerous. And it falls on its face after about 5,500 RPM, so it's super peaky. But the clutch is light, the shifter's light, and it's very easy to drive except for when I stalled it because I was trying to go up a mild grade and the car has no balls whatsoever. The 500 Abarth is a deeply flawed but charming vehicle. It sounds really good, it drives a bit funny, and you kind of appreciate it for that reason. So does the manual help or hurt its cause as a fun daily driver? Well, I have a few complaints first off. It's something I need to address. As far as driving dynamics are concerned, there are a few problems that the manual transmission brings into the equation of this car. First off, for whatever reason, the floor is not flat where the clutch pedal is hinged, so your foot never rests on the clutch quite right. So when you clutch in, you're never quite sure if you're pushing the clutch all the way to the floor or not, because the floor isn't flat. I have no idea what's going on there. It's so deeply Italian, I can't even begin to explain. The clutch is very light and does make it pretty easy to drive in traffic, but it has no feel at all. So if you're a novice driver, it's not going to communicate very well. And if you're a more experienced driver, you might not like the fact it has just no feeling whatsoever. The shifter is a very interesting thing. It feels very meaty. And when people usually refer to meaty shifters or like the heft of a shifter, they literally mean like it feels heavy or it feels very weighted. When I refer to meaty, I literally mean like this feels like tendon. Like it doesn't feel rubbery, but it has a squishiness, a softness to it. It almost feels like pulverized meat, which is very strange. The sensation of shifting this transmission almost feels like you're shaking someone's hand more than you're operating a transmission, which I guess to some people is a good thing. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to put it as a positive or a negative. It's just kind of a thing about this car. I've actually never experienced a car quite like that before. The big demerit is that for the US market, for whatever reason, we only get a 5-speed manual versus a 6-speed manual in Europe. So and that does kind of make it feel very dated. So the clutch is light, the clutch pedal's in an awkward position, and the shifter feels kind of interesting. I would still prefer this to the automatic, just because this car is all about engagement and having fun while driving. The manual is just more fun than that 6-speed automatic that they gave that car. It's kind of a penalty box. It's amazing that a car with this little torque can actually have torque steer, but it does have torque steer. Mainly because the power delivery is just so ridiculous. Now, I'm a bit curious. This does sound quieter than the last Abarth I drove in terms of the crazy exhaust sounds. I'm gonna mic up the car on the way back down so we can kind of compare. But it doesn't seem like this one's doing nearly as much in the way of popping and banging, which is kind of the big charm and allure of this car. Is the fact it's basically a straight pipe out the back. It has characters. You're never going to confuse it for being mute. It's just not quite as charming as the last one I drove for whatever reason. I have no idea what the difference is, but that does seem to be the case.
If it sounds like I'm being harsh on the little 500 Abarth, it's because I kind of am. For whatever reason, this particular 500 Abarth just wasn't quite as sharp as the last one I drove. That said, I'm sure the Fiat 500 Abarth Owners Club will be in the comments very excitedly telling me why it's the best car to buy, because they seem like a very excitable bunch. I still stick to it that the 500 Abarth is one of those cars that's deeply charming despite the flaws. And for the right buyers, that'll be enough.
Alright. AC on full blast. Sorry, it's 100 degrees outside.